The fall of Jericho from Joshua chapter 6. The nation of Israel had come out of Egypt. Moses had now passed on his leadership to Joshua. And now God's people were heading into that promised land called Canaan. They had to go through Edom and through Moab and enter crossing the Jordan River. But as they were about to enter that place, there was one big, strong city named Jericho. Jericho was famous for its big, strong walls. The Israelites wanted to see what the city was like and check on it for defeating it, and so they sent a couple spies. These spies went into Jericho, and as they approached, they found a lady who lived in the wall, and they connected with her. She was called Rahab the prostitute. When she learned who these gentlemen were, she told them, "We have heard of your God, and we are scared." It seemed that she had heard quite a bit about the Lord and knew about his promises and forgiveness. She asked those Israelites, "Remember me and my family, and spare us." She sought to be part of the Lord's family. While they were there, suddenly there became a knock. Knock, knock. These soldiers from Jericho wanted to get these Israelites. So the Israelites hid. And these soldiers came to Rahab and asked where were the Israelites. She could have turned them in. But by faith, the Bible tells us in Hebrews 11, she believed in the Lord and she didn't tell where those spies had hidden. She said they went away. After those Jericho soldiers left, the spies came back out and said, "Put a scarlet cord in your window, a little piece of red, and that is the way we'll know not to destroy you, to save you and your family. Farewell." And they headed back to the rest of the Israelites. Then the Lord gave the Israelites detailed instructions on how he would give them the victory over this city that had such strong walls. He told them, march around the city. He told them to make one circle around the city every day for 6 days. But then, on the seventh day, they were to march around the city 7 times. And then, with their trumpets, they let out a large blast, and they shouted, and the walls of Jericho fell out. They fell out, and the Israelites went right on in, and they conquered the city. They did just as the Lord had said, and they destroyed absolutely everything. Everything was dedicated to the Lord, except the one family that had a scarlet cord that was hanging out its window. That was the family of Rahab the prostitute. She not only was saved from dying that day, but she became part of the Israelites and married into their family. She was spared and became part of God's family. The Lord had given the Israelites victory as he had promised. They showed their faith in their sticking to the details and the plan, and God truly gave them the victory. He gave them that promised land flowing with milk and honey. And it's that promised land that reminds us about what God will give us despite our sin, that he will give us heaven, the ultimate promised land that's better than flowing with milk and honey. We're reminded of that in this story because Rahab, who was a sinner and on the outside, she was one that was put into God's family. And when we look at the genealogy where Jesus came from, we see that Rahab was in the family line of Jesus. She was the great-great-great-great-grandmother of Jesus. She was allowed not to just be in the family a little bit, but in the line of Jesus, pointing us to our Savior who would die on the cross and rise from the dead. This is the story of Rahab and Jericho. And I just want to thank a student who drew these pictures for me. Usually I draw the pictures, but this was one of my favorite second graders who drew these pictures for me, and I put them in the story. Thanks so very much. The story of the fall of Jericho from Joshua chapter 6.